Well, when we start to talk about programming, I believe that we should have a philosophy. And I see lots of entities that I don't believe have a philosophy. And what came with the philosophy also was an organization theory, and that was that we got in a room together a lot and repeated the philosophy. There weren't any independent fiefdoms going off in their own direction. And I said to the people, listen, we pay you very well, and I fought the fight for that. I think HBO from top to bottom was the best paid company in the business. I said there are companies where the top guy takes all the money. That's not the case here. But I don't want every programmer looking after his own reputation. I said everyone, the rising tide will take everyone. If this company works and we do the job that we can do, having an HBO degree will be very valuable for all of you, which has proven to be the case. And I discipline the programming model. You know, I had an idea for it. No one came along that had a better idea than me, and no one was more successful. So I, imposed, and then gave autonomy. So if I went and had a meeting about something in someone's area, Sheila Nevin's documentary, Stephen Sheffer's movies, by the time I came back from the office for lunch, my first call would be to them to say, I had lunch with so-and-so, we talked about this and that. I didn't want that person calling them and saying, I saw Michael and we talked about programming. I wanted them to say, I know he told me, it was fine, That's how you keep an organization together. So I was very into that, and the second part of that, besides the basic tenets, which try to do something that no one else can do, it shouldn't be on, they shouldn't say this should be on network, it had to have a distinction. The second thing was I didn't want us in any area of programming where we couldn't spend or do at least as well as network. So when we went into sports, besides little things like Inside the NFL and documentaries, we went to boxing because we figured out the networks played big boxing in the weekend afternoons. We figured out going to the casinos in Las Vegas that if we put them on at night and made big events of it, and we didn't mind boxing as primetime, it was a big deliverer for us. The casinos would put up a lot of money to get that kind of crowd. So we were able to go in and take the boxing business away from the networks. And there wasn't much else sports-wise because at that time, there was complaints from the networks. There was an effort to do what was called anti-siphoning. Don't let things leave free TV for pay TV. And when we began to do boxing, there was some concern within HBO, my management at the time, within, not to tweak the networks. We were going to do a heavyweight championship, and on the card was a welterweight championship with big fighters. And we were having a little debate in the company as to whether we should do that or not, because it could have instigated legislation. And I was not backing off. And then some other crises kind of hit. And the attention of my management went somewhere else, and we did the fight, and there wasn't any aftermath. There was no anti-siphoning, there was no, and so the coast was clear. But that same philosophy went with any kind of enhancement of programming. We were basically doing comedies on a stage and performers on a, comedians on a stage, and then Bette Midler, Diana Ross, etc. And so we wanted to branch out. When we went into documentaries, which we could afford, we did consumer reports. And then we began to do subjects that clearly were not on commercial television. Eros America, real sex. And so we stuck to the philosophy. And it was as clear as a bell in my head. I didn't have to, I never lost the definition, and nor did the organization. And so then we began to do scripted things. And I think the first series we did was First and 10. It was a raunchy football show with O.J. Simpson, who gave me his cleats from the Buffalo Bills. If I'd kept them longer, maybe I could have gone on eBay with them.